Okay, we're going to start our work on polynomials with addition and subtraction of polynomials. So here are some things for your notes. A monomial is a number, a variable, or a product of numbers and variables raised to natural number powers. Monomial. And the degree of a monomial is the sum of the exponents of the variables. And the number in a monomial is called the coefficient. So the number that's in front, we call that the coefficient. A polynomial is the sum of one or more monomials. A polynomial is the sum of one or more monomials. A polynomial with two terms is called a binomial. Two terms is called a binomial. A polynomial with three terms is called a trinomial. The degree of a polynomial is the degree of the term with the highest degree. So you're going to look at all the terms in the polynomial, find the degree of each term, and whichever one has the highest, that is the degree of the entire polynomial. If two monomials contain the same variables raised to the same powers, we call them like terms. So when the variables are raised to the same powers, we call those like terms. And those are the monomials that we can add and subtract. The terms 7a squared b and 10ab squared are not like terms. Or they're not like or unlike terms. Notice that here a has the square and here b has the square, so these are not like terms. To subtract one polynomial from another, add the first polynomial and the opposite of the second polynomial. And the opposite of the second. So to subtract is the same as adding the opposite. Okay, let's do some problems and use some of those notes. He says here, determine whether the expression is a polynomial. If it is, state how many terms and variables the polynomial contains and its degree. Okay, so is this a polynomial? Yes, it is. And we have three terms. 4x squared is a term, 5x is a term, and then this -1 is another term. And you can tell where the terms are because they're usually separated with pluses, additions and subtractions, okay? The degree, now this term has degree 2. Remember that the degree is you look at the variables in the term, you look at the exponent, you add them together. So since we only have one variable, then the first term has degree 2 because that's the variable on the x. The second term, the 5x, has degree 1 because there's a 1 that's understood to be right here. So it has degree 1 because the 1's understood to be here. And this last term, this -1, that has degree 0. Constants that have no variables, those have degree 0. So to determine the degree of the entire polynomial, we look at the highest degree. And this term had the highest degree, and the degree was 2. So this has degree 2, and yes, it is a polynomial. Polynomial with three terms, which we call a trinomial. So this is a trinomial of degree 2. Okay, let's look at this next number 2. And yes, this is a polynomial, and it has, again, three terms. 2x cubed is one term, 4x, and then your -3 is the third term. And then let's look at the, so we have a trinomial again, don't we? And then let's look at the degrees. This first term has degree 3. The next term, the 4x, has degree 1. And the -3 has degree 0. So the degree of the entire trinomial is 3. Degree is 3. Okay. Number 3, let's look at this expression. Is it a polynomial? If you answered yes, you are right. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. It has 4 terms. And now we're going to look at the degree of each term. So this first term, the 4x cubed, has degree 3. The negative 2x cubed y cubed has degree 5, because what you do is you're going to add together the exponents on the variables. So this term has degree 5. This next term, negative xy squared, remember that the exponent on x is 1. So we have here a term of degree 3. And finally, the 4y cubed, that's another term that has degree 3. Now, to talk about the degree of the entire polynomial, we take the highest degree we have here, which is 5. So the entire polynomial has degree of 5. And yes, it is a polynomial. So degree of 5. Okay, next. 5a cubed plus 4a squared b squared minus 2b cubed. Is this a polynomial? If you said yes, you are right. If you said it's a trinomial, so that it has 3 terms, you are also right. We have the term 5a to the third, 5a cubed, the 4a squared b squared, and the negative 2b to the third. Now let's look at the degree of each of these terms. The first term has degree 3. The second term has degree 4, because we have the 2 and the 2. So that's 4. And the third term has degree 3. So this trinomial has degree 4, because you go for the biggest. So degree of 4 for the trinomial. And now let's look at this last one, 3x squared plus 1 over x minus 3. If you said this is not a polynomial, you are right. And what makes it not a polynomial is the fact that you have an x here in the denominator of this fraction. So our polynomials have to be made up of products of variables and numbers, but we cannot have that x in the denominator. So this is not a polynomial. And so we don't talk about degrees when they're not polynomials. So not a polynomial. Okay, let's look at the next section. Here we're going to add the polynomials, which means we're going to add the like terms. So we have 2x plus 1, and we're going to add that to negative 3x plus 5. And so the like terms are the 2x and the negative 3x, and the 1 and the 5. A positive 2 added to a negative 3 is a negative 1x. So we write just negative x. That 1 is understood to be there, so we don't really write it in. And then the positive 1 and the positive 5 added together give us a positive 6. So negative x plus 6 is the sum of those two binomials. Here we have another couple of binomials. We're going to add them. They have some like terms. The 4x and the 6x are like terms. The negative 3, do take that negative with the 3. And the 1, the positive 1, are like terms. 4 plus 6 is 10x. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. So 10x minus 2. In number 15, we are adding together 2 trinomials, so there are 3 terms in each. The like terms are y squared and 4y squared. Those are like terms. The positive 2x and the negative y are like terms. Remember, this is like having a negative 1 here. And then the negative 4 and the 10 are like terms. So a 1y squared plus 4y squared is 5y squared. A positive 2y added to a negative 1y, so 2 minus 1 is 1y. So we're going to write plus y. And notice again that I'm not dealing with the exponents on the variables. Those stay alike. We only change those exponents when we multiply, like we did in the last video. So, And then here, for the last term, we have a negative 4 added to a positive 10, which gives us a positive 6. So there's our trinomial. Okay, now we're going to talk about subtracting polynomials. Remember, we are going to add the opposite when we subtract. So look at this one. We have 4x minus 1 subtract a 3x plus 5. What we're going to do here is we are going to change this subtraction sign to an addition, and then we use the opposites of everything in the parentheses. So first parenthesis stays the same. This becomes a plus. This positive 3x becomes its opposite, negative 3x. And this positive 5 becomes its opposite, negative 5. So you change the signs that follow the subtraction sign. And now we are going to add like terms. 4x added to a negative 3x is 1x. And negative 1 added to a negative 5 is negative 6. And we write minus 6 because that means the same thing as add a negative 6. So x minus 6 is the answer. Let's go to the next one. Again, we're going to change this subtraction to a positive, but now we have to change these to the opposite. So this negative 2x becomes a positive 2x, and this positive 7 becomes a negative 7. And then let's add the like terms. There are like terms. So 1x plus 2x is 3x. A positive 5 added to a negative 7 is a negative 2. So 3x minus 2 is our answer. Okay, we have some trinomials here. We're subtracting the trinomials. So again, we're going to change this to a plus. Change all the signs. So this is a negative 5. This is a negative 7x. This is a negative 1. This is a negative 1. Now add the like terms. Remember, this negative sign goes with that 3x. All right, let's start with the x squares. Positive 4x squared added to a negative 5x squared. 4 minus 5 is a negative 1x squared. So I'm going to write negative x squared. With the x terms, this is a negative 3 added to a negative 7x. That's going to give us a negative 10x. And here we have a positive 2 added to a negative 1, which gives us a positive 1. So there is our trinomial. In number 25, we have a binomial. Subtract from it a trinomial. Again, we're going to change this to a plus and change all the signs in the parentheses. The negative x cubed becomes a positive x cubed. The positive x becomes a negative x. The positive 9 becomes a negative 9. Add the like terms. Oh, look at, there's no like term for the x squared. So we're just going to, or for the x or the 9. So we're just going to tag those along. So 3x cubed added to a positive 1x cubed, right? That gives us 4x cubed. Now there's no more like terms, so we just bring over those terms. Negative x squared minus x minus 9. And finally, we have two trinomials we're going to subtract. Again, we're going to change the sign to a plus and change all the signs in the parentheses. This is a positive 3, a negative 6, and a positive 4. Now we're going to add the like terms. And let's see, we have x cubed and 3x cubed as like terms, and then we have the negative 8 and the 4 as like terms. The rest are not like terms. So 1x cubed plus 3x cubed is 4x cubed plus 5x squared. It's convention to put these in descending powers. That's why I'm putting that there. Minus 6x. And now I have a negative 8 plus a 4, which is a negative 4.